Hi, welcome to No Service Sunday. My name's Matt. I'm the worship pastor here at The Well. Whether you're joining us for the first time or you've been a part of The Well for years, we hope you had a wonderful time this holiday season with friends and family. We love to do this service once a year as a way to thank our volunteers, those people who give of their time week in and week out to make these services happen. We have a wonderful service lined up for you this morning with some phenomenal worship led by Walter and Holly Hollowell and a great message from our lead pastor, Jerry Schaefer. Please enjoy No Service Sunday.
I count on one thing, the same God that never fails will not fail me now. You won't fail me now in the waiting. The same God who's never late is working all things out. You're working all things out. Yes, I will lift you high in the lowest valley. Yes, I will bless your name. Yes, I will sing for joy when my heart is heavy all my days. Oh yes, I will. I count on one thing, the same God that never fails will not fail me now. You won't fail me now in the waiting. The same God who's never late is working all things out. You're working all things out. Yes, I will lift you high in the lowest valley. Yes, I will bless your name. Yes, I will sing for joy when my heart is heavy all my days. Oh yes, I will for all my days. Oh yes, I will, not just a praise, to glorify, glorify the name of all names that nothing can stand against, and not just a praise, to glorify, glorify the name of all names that nothing can stand against, and not just a praise, to glorify, glorify the name of all names that nothing can stand against, and not just to praise, to glorify, glorify the name of all names that nothing can stand against. Yes, I will lift you high in the lowest valley. Yes, I will bless your name. Oh yes, I will sing for joy when my heart is heavy all my days. Oh yes, I will for all my days. Oh yes, I will for all my days. Oh yes, I will. Oh, how high would I climb mountains if the mountains were where you hide? Oh, how far I'd scale the valley faced the other side. Oh, how long have I chased rivers from lowly seas to where they rise, against the rush of grace descending from the source of its supply. In the highlands and the heartache, you're neither more or less inclined. I would search and stop at nothing. You're just not that hard to find. I'll praise you on the mountain. I'll praise you in the mountains and my way. You're the summit where my feet are. So I will praise you in the valleys all the same. No less God within the shadows, no less faithful when the night leads me astray. You're the heaven where my heart is. In the highlands and the heartache all the same. Oh, oh, oh. Oh, how far beneath your glory does your kindness extend the path, from where your feet rest on the sunrise to where you sweep the sinner's past. Oh, how fast would you come running if just to shadow me through the night, trace my steps through all my failure and walk me out the other side. For who could dare ascend that mountain, that valleyed hill called Calvary, but for the one I call Good Shepherd, who like a lamb was slain for me. Oh, I will praise you on the mountain, and I will praise you in the mountains and my way. You're the summit where my feet are. So I will praise you in the valleys all the same. No less God within the shadows, no less faithful when the night leads me astray. You're the heaven where my heart is. In the highlands and the heartache all the same. Oh, oh, oh. And whatever I walk through, wherever I am, your name can move mountains wherever I stand. And if ever I walk through the valley of death, I'll sing through the shadows my song of ascent. And whatever I walk through, wherever I am, your name can move mountains wherever I stand. And if ever I walk through the valley of death, I'll sing through the shadows my song of ascent, my song of ascent. Whoa, whoa, my song of ascent. Whoa, whoa. From the gravest of all valleys come the pastures we call grace, a mighty river flowing upwards from a deep but empty grave. Oh, I will praise you mountain, and I will praise you in the mountains in my way. You're the summit where my feet are. So I will praise you in the valleys all the same. No less God within the shadows, no less faithful when the night leads me astray. You're the heaven where my heart is. In the highlands and the heartache all the same.
Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays. Thank you for joining us for our No Service Sunday. Next week, we start our 21 days of prayer. From January 5th through the 25th, we'll meet every day at the campus to pray together, Monday through Friday at 6 a.m. and Saturdays at 9 a.m. Also next Sunday on the 5th, we start our new sermon series called The World at Your Feet, which will challenge us to break new ground for God's kingdom and His glory. Now enjoy this message from our lead pastor, Jerry Schaefer.
Well, good morning and welcome to No Service Sunday at the Well. Well, with the Well. I hope you had an amazing Christmas and got to spend some extra time with friends and family, but I also hope that you're making preparations for 2020, because I believe with all my heart that this is going to be one of the most important years for everyone here at the Well. Now, you might be tempted to say, Jerry, that's what you're supposed to say because you're a leader, right? It's your job to encourage and inspire us, but this isn't that. Every time I pray or I think about this coming year, I have this overwhelming sense that God is going to do some groundbreaking, amazing new things in the life of all of us and some very specific things in the life for many of us. And I want to make sure that we're ready, that we're prepared for whatever it is that God wants to happen in our lives. Because just like we've seen this whole holiday season, Jesus never comes or works exactly like we think. There's always this mix of amazing and miraculous and unexpected and even difficult in every situation and scenario. Consider the story of the wise men that we tell every year at this time. After the whirlwind that it had to be getting married and moving to a new city and having a child, Joseph and Mary had responded rightly to all the things that God had asked. And God begins to respond to them. Right? The shepherds come as a witness to God's blessing. The angels show up and worship as an encouragement. And then finally, these religious and political leaders from around the world come to pay their respects and bring gifts, very expensive, life-altering gifts. Just let's say that Jesus' college fund was fully funded. And then the bottom drops out. All the good attention had attracted some negative attention as well. Matthew chapter 2, verse 13 says this, "After the wise men were gone, an angel of the Lord appeared to Joseph in a dream. 'Get up, flee to Egypt with the child and his mother,' the angel said, 'and stay there until I tell you to return, because Herod is going to search for the child in order to kill him.'" Luke's early history of the church, the Acts of the Apostles, when the very first time that the apostles were beaten for being followers of Jesus, they celebrated for being worthy of suffering like him. They assumed that whatever model, whatever pattern had happened in the life of Jesus was probably going to happen to them too. And so should we. When we choose to surrender to the work of Christ in our life and in our community, God's going to begin to bless our lives in ways that immediately mark us for negative attention from others. The Apostle Peter taught that this was a matter of fact. In 1 Peter chapter 5, verse 8, he says, "Stay alert. Watch out, for our great enemy, the devil, prowls around like a roaring lion looking for those he may devour." This is actually part of the reason that God has given us His Word, is so that we would know how to respond in the moments when doing good inevitably leads to trouble. So the answer to this problem, to this conundrum, is found in our passage. Our response, our model, is found in Matthew chapter 2, verse 13 today. After the wise men were gone, an angel of the Lord appeared to Joseph in a dream. Now, it would have been so easy for Joseph to have just said, man, Mary, you'll never believe the crazy dream I had last night. Too much partying with all of those wise guys. But he doesn't do that. He resists the urge to blow things off because he had learned to, this is our first step, he had learned to listen for warnings. It had been 2, maybe 3 years since God had first spoken to Joseph in a dream when he was contemplating divorcing Mary for her perceived infidelity. But all those years later, Joseph is still on high alert, listening for God to speak to him. Now, the idea of God constantly speaking to us, particularly warning us, was very common in the Jewish ethos. In fact, God warned Noah about the flood, Abraham about the judgment on Sodom and Gomorrah, Joseph about famine, Samuel about droughts, David about judgment, Elijah about invading armies. We could go on and on and on. So common was this that in Jesus' day, when the Pharisees, the villains, showed up at John the Baptist's site, he asked them, who warned you to flee the coming judgment? In part, the warning is God saying, I see you. I see what's coming, and most importantly, I know the way out, so follow me. John chapter 10, verse 27 says, my sheep hear my voice, and I know them, and they follow me. One of the biggest reasons for our 21 days of prayer and fasting each year is to help us distinguish the voice of God from all of the other competing voices and noise in the din that surrounds and rages in our life. Joseph knew the difference between a weird dream and a warning from God. So we have to prepare ourselves and listen for the warnings that are going to come in 2020. Not only that, but when they do come, we have to trust God's leading. In Matthew chapter 2, verse 14, it says, that night, that very night, Joseph left for Egypt with the child and Mary, his mother. And they stayed there in Egypt until Herod's death. And that fulfilled what was spoken of the prophet, I called my son out of Egypt. Now, Egypt had long been viewed as a place of sin or judgment. In fact, the Jews who wouldn't go into Babylonian exile and instead tried to escape to Egypt ended up dying of all the things that they had tried to avoid. It wouldn't have been an easy decision for Joseph to decide to flee there. It wouldn't have been natural. And sometimes God's going to lead you to go against your own natural instinct, your own natural impulse or bias or prejudices or even judgment. But God will never tell you to break his word, and God will never break his word to you. He might ask you to go against the grain or against the flow. But most importantly, he won't ask you to go somewhere that he isn't going. He won't ask you to do something he isn't doing. 2,500 years ago, the Jewish prophet and poet noted that even though I walk through a valley of the shadow of death, I won't be afraid because I know God is going to go with me. Wherever God is sending you, he's providing for you. Another scripture says that he prepares a banqueting table in the presence of our enemies. It's the picture that in this fierce battle, there's this table prepared, and we stop in the midst of battle and sit at a meal that God has provided, that all that we need, we have in him in the midst of whatever circumstances are raging around us. It's the reason that we fast, that we literally give up food as part of our 21 days. The more that we experience God's provision and direction, the more confidence we have in it. 1 Samuel chapter 17, verse 37, David said, the Lord who delivered me from the paws of the lion and the paws of the bear will deliver me from the hands of this Philistine giant. And so the King Saul said, well, then go with God. It's incremental. I willingly put food aside for a couple of days and I experience God's strength, his energy. I feel connected through his suffering, and it gives me confidence when things begin to happen in my life that are outside my control. And just as he provides for me in my fast, I know that he's going to strengthen me and comfort me and protect me in my hour of need. So I listen for the warnings. I trust in God's leadings, and finally, I act. I respond obediently. One last time, Matthew 2, verse 13. After the wise men were gone, an angel of the Lord appeared to Joseph in a dream. Get up, flee to Egypt with the child and his mother, the angel said, and stay there until I tell you to return, because Herod is going to search for the child to kill him. We jump forward to verse 19, and it says, when Herod died, An angel of the Lord appeared to Joseph again in a dream, this time in Egypt. "Get up," the angel said. "Take the child and his mother and go back to the land of Israel, because those who were trying to kill the child are dead." So Joseph got up and he returned to the land of Israel with Jesus and his mother. But when he learned that the new ruler of Judea was Herod's son, he was afraid to go to the southern part. And after being warned in a dream, he left to the region of Galilee. So the family went and lived in the town of Nazareth. This fulfilled what the prophet said, he will be called a Nazarene. And over in this story, we have that line, that saying, this is to fulfill what the prophets had said. These things happened to fulfill promises that God had made long ago. Whatever is going on in your life, if you follow the biblical model, if we give ourselves to the life of Christ, God will use them to bring about his promises to you, through you, and for others. If Joseph hadn't heeded the warning, trusted God, and obeyed, our Christmas story would be very different today. I want to encourage you to do everything that God is speaking to you in 2020. God's got big stuff, too big to tell you all because it would freak you out. But as you start to experience God's favor, you're going to attract some negative attention. And in those times, you're going to have to listen for the warnings. You're going to have to trust his leadings, and you're going to have to act obediently. Whatever God calls you to do, he's making a way for us regardless of the obstacles and the opposition that we're going to face. God will make a way of escape that will lead us to fulfilling the plans that God has for you, that he set for you before the foundations of the world. Well, I hope you have an amazing new year. I look forward to seeing you on the 5th as we launch into 2020 and as we launch into our 21 days of prayer and fasting. I hope that you'll be there with a sense of expectation that God is going to break new ground, he's going to create new beginnings, and he's got God-sized and God-shaped things for your life. God bless you. We'll see you in a couple days. Thanks for giving us a little time.